This is not the video I wanted to make. When I first had the bright idea to make a video about the Syringer, I was really excited. I had the wiki open, I had a bunch of notes of ideas to try, I was theory crafting like a madman. I was going to show everyone that the Syringer isn't as bad as they thought it was, that it was just misunderstood. And then I got in-game, and I tried some stuff. Oh no. Oh my god, this thing is trash. Why didn't anyone tell me this thing is trash? Oh my god. Sadly, the Syringer isn't the super spy gadget that it was supposed to or could have been. It's got a lot of problems. But if you can get past how trash it is, it also has a few surprising upsides that I think get lost in the dogpile. And more importantly, we can learn a lot from it from a game design perspective. But first, let's start with why it's bad. The Syringer is a long-range dart gun. Enemies never use it, and you can only find it in a handful of places in the game world. You can find it as an extra hidden piece of loot, a reward for a quest, or from a handful of specific vendors. Which gives it a kind of allure. You know, we all have gamer brain. If it's rare, it's good, right? So right off the bat, this thing's setting us up for disappointment. So how does it work? Like something out of a spy movie, you can use it to remotely dose unsuspecting enemies with different poisons and toxins, which all have different effects. You select these darts by hitting the reload button and choosing which one you want to use. All of this sounds pretty cool, but there is a major catch. You have to make each and every dart by hand. And when I say each and every dart, I mean individually. You don't get to make batches of them or anything, it's one at a time. There are several different kinds of darts that you can load into the Syringer, and you'll never see a single one of them on sale from any vendor, find them in any container, or get them off any enemies. Nope, you have to go out into the wild and collect the materials you need to make these things. What materials? Well, a whole lot of really specific ones. Some of them are cheap and easy to find, like a pencil or some mute fruit. Others require valuable chems like Medex or Psycho, adding a pretty steep price tag to every shot. And in some cases, you'll need genuinely rare items that you can only get from some of the more annoying enemies in the game. For example, the recipe for a lock joint syringe requires dirty water, and you'd be surprised how hard it is to find dirty water when you want it, 4 lead, 1 steel, 2 tarberry, a crop you can't grow and can only find in a few places, and last but certainly not least, a stingwing barb. Yeah, you have to go out, find and fight some nasty stingwings, and hope that they drop one when they die. And for all of those materials, you get exactly one syringe of lock joint. No pressure, but don't miss that shot. So yeah, it's absolutely a pain to keep fed. But don't worry, that's only the start of its downsides. On top of being hard to feed, many types of syringes you can make are, well, there's no nice way to say it, they're straight garbage. The bleed out syringe is pretty easy to make, only requiring 1 oil, fiberglass, and steel. But if you ask me, that's still a waste of scrap. Because for all that work, the bleed out syringe does a whopping 30 points of damage over 10 whole agonizing seconds. Who cares? And you're telling me I gotta make these things by hand? And you might think that's bad, but you haven't even seen the Rad Scorpion Venom syringe. It requires, as you might imagine, a Rad Scorpion stinger to make, an item that only sometimes drops off a Rad Scorpion, an enemy that's fairly uncommon and hard to farm, unless you want to go on safari in the glowing sea. And for all of that hacking and slashing and dodging pincers like Perseus out in a radioactive deadland, it does 40 points of damage over 10 seconds. Why have the gods forsaken me? Worse than useless. But don't worry, that's still not the worst syringe. No. That dubious distinction goes to the bloatfly larva syringe, which in its defense, sounds pretty cool. With this one, an enemy you shoot with it is infested with larvae, so that a bloatfly sprouts from their corpse like a xenomorph once they're dead. Whoa, that's some gnarly stuff. I love it. Well, I love it when it happens. The bloatfly shot is limited by a couple of things. 1, you need a blowfly gland. Not super rare, but still kind of a pain to farm. You can go bug hunting and still only have enough glands to make 1 or 2 shots. More annoyingly though, there's a time limit to it. The enemy must die within 30 seconds of being hit by the syringe. So you're in trouble if you shoot somebody and then they run away and take cover, or if you just can't finish them off. Third, the fly just doesn't do that much. It either beelines straight towards you, whoops, or gets killed so quickly that it never gets a chance to attack anyone, double whoops.
Man, you picked the wrong fight.
It's a cool idea hamstrung by a bunch of provisos and catches that just suck the fun out of it. A lot of effort for... What you're going to find out is a recurring theme with the Syringer, even with its better ammo types. Because there are some other syringes that on paper seem really cool. Take that lock joint syringe I mentioned earlier. This one causes instant paralysis to a target. They just freeze in place and keel over. Wow, that's legitimately powerful. In fact, there's at least one place where I can wholeheartedly recommend you use it. When you're doing the Silver Shroud quest and you get to the end, there's a scene where Shinjin the gangster takes poor old Ken, the Silver Shroud's trusty sidekick, hostage. It's a dicey moment. Shinjin is pretty tough, and if you don't have something that'll instantly kill him, it's very likely that he'll shoot poor old Ken, an outcome that I don't even want to think about. But the lockjoint syringe is one of the best ways to make sure that Kent gets to walk away and fight crime another day.
Time to fight crime!
It genuinely saves his life in a situation that can otherwise be a little tricky. Hey, score 1 for the Syringer. And it got me thinking, what other risky moments could this syringe help out with? When else would it really help just shut a guy down? Well, there are a couple of boss fights in the game, like Kellogg. That'd be cool.
You must die now, human.
Alright, well I get it. That's a big cinematic showdown. Maybe they thought it would be lame just to paralyze him. What about that courser you have to track down? He's tough. Might be handy to stun him. Alright. These are like main quest bosses, and one's a cyborg while the other one's a synth. Maybe these weren't the best test cases to try out. I'm sure there's gotta be some big fight it can help with. What about Slag in the Ironworks? He can be a pretty tough fight depending on your setup. So it seems like any major fight where the work to get the stingling barbs and all the scrap to make the syringe would actually pay off and be cool, it can't help you. What a disappointment. Same with the Endanger All syringe. I was really excited about this one. I read on the wiki that the game text is actually mistaken, and rather than lowering damage resistance by 25% like it says, it really lowers it by a massive 75%. I had visions of sticking a Mirelurk Queen with it, and melting through the giant bug with something silly like a pipe pistol or some brass knuckles. But, if you've been following along, you can guess how that turned out. Again, same thing. In a situation where this could have been super useful, it does exactly jack squat. What can I say about this? It's crap. Okay, so that's an incomplete list of ways that the Syringer is bad. Now it's time for what you came for. A patented Unky Nick contrarian take. There are a few ways that I think the Syringer is actually still pretty good. One of them's the Berserk syringe. Yeah, it suffers from the same problems as some of the others. It doesn't work on bosses or anything with a skull. And even worse, the wiki says that it doesn't work on any enemy above level 22. But you know what? I think it's still pretty good. Let's look at this. First of all, it's not too hard to put together, requiring some antifreeze and bourbon. Junk that you can probably find if you keep an eye out in shops and dungeons. And for that little bit of junk, it's essentially giving you the same power as rank 2 at a perk like Intimidation, Animal Friend, or Wasteland Whisperer. If you've seen my video on Intimidation, you know how highly I rate those effects. Think about it this way. The Syringer will allow a low charisma character to have kind of a second-rate access to some of the charisma tree's best perks. Not a lot of other weapons can say something like that. And while a lot of people seem to freak out about the level cap on its usefulness, I don't think it's actually that big a deal for most real playthroughs. I know some of us like to stick with one character and do everything and reach a crazy high level, but most typical playthroughs end somewhere between level 30 and 40. And at those levels, you're still seeing tons of enemies lower than level 20. They're very common. And while it's true that you can't use them against bosses and the most powerful enemies you encounter, even a runt can make for a great distraction to redirect a turret or get some heat off of you. In fact, there are ways to use it creatively to still take out key threats. Like, there's a few places in the game where raiders will have mini nukes or something awful to deal with. Well, turn one of their buddies on them, and watch them waste those nukes on their former friend, and hopefully anyone else standing nearby. So in my opinion, the Berserk Syringe is certified, okay. Mind Cloud is a bit niche, but it works reliably. The game says that it has a chance to work, but in my experience,
it just works.
There are a few places in the game where you really wish you could just sneak past one troublesome guard to avoid a fight with a whole group, and Mind Cloud will let you do it pretty much guaranteed. So if you like playing a sneaky character, or you just want to walk around downtown without fighting every single gunner and mutant you come across, this will help. And finally, I think the Pax and Yellow Belly syringes are way better than people might expect. Ever want to turn a Deathclaw off? The Pax syringe will do that. Just calm them right down. Super Mutant Suicider got you scared? Send him home to Mama with Yellow Belly. This is especially handy on survival mode, where you can't always save or carry around your heaviest weapons at all times. Think of it as a safety net versus those random jump scare enemies that will ruin your night. Of course, all these tantalizing glimpses of power and usability just make it all the more a shame that the Syringer generally isn't worth the bother. So it's time to try and squeeze these lemons into some kind of lemonade. What did we learn when we're trying to make the Syringer useful? Well, for one thing, we learned that the juice has to be worth the squeeze. The Syringer is a bad weapon, but what makes it feel like a terrible weapon is how much effort you have to go through to use it. It just feels awful to have to get all the materials together, load up a syringe, make sure you hit the shot with its slightly slow projectile, and then just not have anything happen. And it seems like the dev team was phobic about making the Syringer too good. Like they were worried it would be used to cheap out or avoid any major enemies. And I have no idea why. Fallout 4 is already a game with a pretty shaky grasp on balance. There are tons of crazy weapons and perks that when used right can pretty much trivialize any fight. And when it comes to boss fights, well, they put a fat man and a mini nuke in your hands not 50 feet from where you fight Kellogg. It's not like they're expecting you to have an honorable duel. I also think sometimes less is more. If you're anything like me, Bleed Out was probably the first syringe you made as soon as you got the weapon. And the first time you see it in action, you probably dump the dang thing on the ground then and there. Can't blame you. The Syringer honestly would have been better off without them. But on the positive side, I also learned that there is something satisfying about looking around for very specific bits of scrap in enemy drops. Trying to use the Syringer rewired my Fallout brain a little bit. First of all, it kinda made me happy to see Stingwings. What? These are some of the most annoying enemies in the game, but now, instead of pests, I saw them as a chance to get an ingredient for one of the most powerful syringes I wanted, and that was almost kind of a thrill. That's cool. It turned my relationship with one of the worst enemies in the game on its head. But what really stuck out to me was having to keep an eye out for antifreeze or Braxo, rather than just anything with acid or antiseptic in it. The Syringer made me comb through junk differently. Usually, when I'm looting a place for junk, I have this very mechanical material to yield to weight calculation that I make when I'm selecting what to grab. An item has to have a good amount of desirable materials in it, and a low enough weight to justify carrying it all the way home. But when trying to fuel the Syringer, all that goes right out the window. I'm looking for dirty water, I'm hunting for bottles of antifreeze, and I need that Abraxo. It might not sound like much just to hear it, but when playing, it's kind of wild how big of a difference it is. Normally, when you want to craft something in Fallout 4, you just need the base materials. Like, if I want to make a new night vision scope for my combat rifle, I need some glass, some adhesive, fiber optics, some nuclear material, because night vision's green, and some silver to top it off. So, I go into a dungeon, and I pick a couple of beer bottles up for the glass, maybe some old duct tape, fiber optics ripped out of a tripwire trap, and let's get the nuclear material from the bits of a dead super mutant. Oh, and a silver fork. Almost forgot. Somehow, I toss all these parts together in a big trash bag, I shake them up until a new scope falls out. It's a fun system, and it works for the fantasy of the game and the kind of wacky tone Fallout 4 has. But the Syringer shows us another way. What if we had to think about it differently? What if we needed shaped high-quality glass for the lens, like from a magnifying glass or a microscope? What if it wasn't just fiber optics and nuclear waste that gave us a night vision effect, but we had to get something that makes sense, like military-grade circuitry or sensors from an iBot or a Saltron, a machine built to see in the dark? And what if we had to have an adhesive that made more sense for the job instead of just duct tape or vegetable starch? You can see immediately how that would dramatically alter how junk is both valued and thought of in the game. It would be less freeform, and it would be more of a pain in the butt. But it would also be more intentional. You'd have to look at your surroundings more, plan out what you wanted to craft, keep a mental list of what you need rather than just running through the same weight-to-yield calculation again and again. The Syringers are a little window into that other version of Fallout, showing us another way junk and crafting could have been designed, the trade-offs and the benefits that we might have seen. And while the weapon's trash, and there's no two ways about it, I'm still glad it's in the game, if only to give us something to learn from. It's not a good weapon to use, but it's a good weapon to think about, if that makes sense. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like or a comment. It really helps out. See you next time, Wastelanders.